Super Dave here. Thank you for joining me for another No BS reaction. This is where I check out some music I haven't heard, of course, and give you my opinion on it, stretching myself out of my normally proggy zone, or at the very least into some prog music, prog-related, prog-adjacent music that I have overlooked, that I haven't caught up on. Didn't say I was an English expert or a language expert. So thank you for joining me once again. Today what we're going to do is focus on a band that fits in a similar category as Meshuggah for me. And this is a band that has been on the periphery of my attention, a band that I've seen the name, I've heard the name, I've heard them mentioned, and yet have not gotten around to actually listening to them. Frankly, they're a band whose t-shirts I see a lot of at a lot of the shows I go to. So I'm a little slow catching up, admittedly. And that band is Amorphis, and the song is House of Sleep, and this one goes back a ways for them. It's not exactly a new song, but that's okay. You know what? I dig starting at the beginning and moving forward, so maybe I'll do a bit like I've done with Meshuggah and do a run of Amorphis songs and catch up a little bit on what they've been doing, what they've done, and what they're doing now. So we'll see where that goes, but this is me filling in the blanks that I have not yet filled in my little world of prog-oriented music. So as we said, this would be Amorphis, and the song is called House of Sleep. Buckle up.
Rakkaat ihmiset, tämä nimi on House of Sleep! Kiitos Helsinki! Go!
So I'm just going to say starting off, sorry to interrupt it already. I could start it over again. But immediately, no, this is not a band that is the same as Meshuggah. Whether or not I'll discover them to be proggy or not, I don't know. But they seem to attract a similar fan base to a lot of what I've seen. Right now, I get more the impression of something along the lines of a symphonic metal or symphonic black metal or something like that. Much more melodic, much less groove-oriented than Meshuggah. A good bit more straightforward in its rhythms than Meshuggah tends to be. So, yes, this is a good bit more straight ahead, and probably for a lot of people, perhaps a little bit more immediately accessible. I don't know, because I guess it depends on exactly what you want to do. If you want to seriously bang your head, the pounding riffs of Meshuggah probably are more the immediate thing. If you want to hear something more melodic, this probably appeals to you first. I do, admittedly, tend to lean a little bit more towards the latter, the more melodic. So there's a half-decent chance I'm going to like this beyond simply the intro. But let's go back to the beginning, just so we can interrupt it a little bit less. And I don't know if I got a live one here or not. I didn't realize this might be live.
Ihmiset, tämä nimi on House of Sleep! Kiitos Helsinki! Go! Dream
Okay, yes, it certainly appears to be live. Which, honestly, I give him credit. I've not heard the studio recording, but really great sound for a live recording. The crowd, I'd say, is probably mixed down a little bit on the low side because I only heard a little bit at the beginning and then that part where he asked them to sing along. And I haven't heard much in between there. So it sounds so much, to my mind, like what I'm hearing is almost a studio recording. Minus that, I wouldn't have been sure. They could have added crowd at the beginning or something like that, but this does strike me as something live. And yeah, very melodic song. I do like the melody they've got going there. Vocals, obviously clean. So again, departure from Meshuggah. And interesting, I think, tone. He's a little deeper than I often hear with music of this type. There's a certain, I don't even know how to describe it. I've never been able to, sort of a back of the throat sound with a lot of northern European singers, male singers that I sometimes hear. Not sure what that's about. Somebody somewhere might know, but I'm sure it probably has something to do with their languages and the way they normally speak. And I'm not hearing that with this so much, but again, a little bit lower tone than I was kind of expecting. And, obviously very solid, very talented, and kind of cool. It's familiar sounding enough to be easily accessible, and at the same time, he, for lack of a better way of expressing it, takes some somewhat different turns in the vocal, in the way he's singing, and certain note placement. I want to say chord progression, but that doesn't fit. You get the idea. That is a little bit unexpected. So that keeps my interest, and I like it. And it seems we are going to be entering the second verse at this point in time. It also seems, again, like a very straightforward, standard arrangement, A, B, A, B type of thing, compared to what, say, Meshuggah would do. So I'm going to back it up ever so slightly just to get to the beginning of the second chorus, and here we go.
Oh, lovers, you will be the mistress of thine house. You will be given the white belt and the big key to the gate. If I said something to you, you would take those words. There's so much power in those words. Oh, you don't know. You don't know nothing yet about the dreams I have. I will make you sleep. You don't know. Come on. About the dreams I have. Sleep is the house of all lovers.
Expecting and anticipating a bridge with probably the requisite guitar solo or instrumental break, of course. I'll pause for a moment there. I'm curious, anybody out there, you will be given the wide belt. I do not know what the hell he is referencing and what that means. The mentions in the key to the gate, so some sort of attire related to gatekeepers? I don't know. I do not know. So if anybody out there can possibly interpret that particular phrasing for me, that would be awesome. Maybe I'll try to look it up later myself, but I'd be curious to see what that means. Yeah, I mean, overall, cool tune. There's nothing I find abrasive or off-putting by it. It's a good, solid vocalist. It's a nice, solid, melodic tune. It's not what I would call overly complex, and I would have to say that it's interesting to me that I will see this. Now, granted, I don't know all their work. It's the first song of theirs I've heard. I'm a little surprised to hear this being listened to by the same people going to prog metal shows, but maybe some of that is starting to where you blend that Venn diagram between symphonic metal and progressive metal, and even a bit of I had a term in my head and it just left. It'll come back later when I don't need it. but it's a certain Venn diagram there that often is where you hear the music that's coming out of. I don't know where these guys are from. I'm going to guess Scandinavian country somewhere, Sweden, Norway, possibly Germany. I'll have to look that up later. But that area tends to pull in bands that sound power metal is what I was trying to think of. Ooh, I remembered it on my own in the middle of the video. So powered metal, symphonic metal, prog metal kind of blends in together. But these guys hit a real stronger symphonic metal kind of angle for things to me. And I'll be curious to hear what else they do, but let's check out the rest of this and see. We got a lot of time left in the song, so maybe a long instrumental break. Expect that to end quite so suddenly. I was hoping I was going to get to fade that out. I underestimated what was going to happen there. Anyway, yeah, there was a nice little instrumental break there. Not as long as I thought it was going to be based on where I thought we were in the song, but it was really cool. Actually pretty impressive guitar work, not overly flashy, not like somebody desperate to show off, but yet showing some really fine chops there in terms of handling the instruments and each of them giving a little bit of space for the other to have a bit of interplay, whether it's the keyboards or the guitar, the drums, especially towards the end there. I really enjoyed it. It was so brief. I wish it was a little bit longer. Honestly, there was a little bit of a moment there where the piano and the guitar were just kind of intertwining with one another with some arpeggios and all that, and I thought that was really cool. And I wish that had gone on just a little bit longer because it was so enticing to have that little bit of that and have it go away so quickly. So, what are you going to do? But yeah, pretty impressive. And I think that's where I see some of that. A lot of times there's that crossover with symphonic metal and prog metal because the level of the musicianship involved in it. Symphonic tends to go for the more dramatic, oftentimes telling stories and more expansive concepts and things like that. Versus prog, which sometimes has its own little agendas and may tell stories or may not. But the two intertwine a little bit here and there depending on what's going on. And I can see somewhere there's that crossover potential between Amorphis and some of the other stuff I've seen. As a matter of fact, I would almost say that I'm fairly certain one of the concerts I saw them at was Catatonia, who leans a little more into the proggy area, especially in their modern incarnation. So, I can see obviously where there's going to be crossover there, or with a band like Evergrey. And so it's kind of funny in my mind that I'm listening to Amorphis, haven't gotten around to them for so long. I've seen the name multiple times in multiple places, and right there, not quite clear how old this song is. I believe it is probably 13 years old or more. And if I'm not mistaken, the band goes back into the 90s, so I'm going to say it's a real good chance that the bands I mentioned share a bit of DNA with Amorphis if they aren't even actually direct descendants of them. I know Catatonia has been for a long time. I'm not sure. Evergrey is a bit newer as far as I'm concerned, but or as far as I know, but I don't have an exact timeline in my head. But you can see the relationships there, at least in my head, stylistically, if not actually direct influencing one another in one way, shape, or form. So the first time dipping my foot into the Amorphis pool, and I enjoyed enough that I think I'm going to want to check out some more of them down the road, see what their progression looks like from this time period to something more modern, almost similar to what I did with Meshuggah. I kind of went even and then all of a sudden jumped up to their newest thing. Wasn't entirely intentional, but I got a little bit mixed up on things. Is what it is. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Amorphis, House of Sleep. I dig it. I could add that to the playlist and enjoy that quite a bit, I'm certain. So thank you for joining me for this. Once again, if you're enjoying the content I'm putting out there, I certainly would appreciate the like and the subscribe. Hit the bell if you want to make sure you keep up with me. I can be a little sporadic, I will admit. If you want to check out my prog metal channel, The Expanse, on Live 365, it's right there 24/7. All the prog you can get to, all the prog you could possibly want. And don't forget, check out the interviews I've available in podcast form if you want to hear my interviews with the elites of the prog world. Most recently, greats out there like Cody Ford of Soen and Jamie of Earthside, who's just both of them have great new albums out. And hey, social media stuff is in the description below if you want to follow me out there in the social media verse. So that's what I got for you for now. Thank you very much for joining me once again. I'm Super Dave, signing off.